Welcome back to Doomsday Machine, the Punch Up Entertainment MCU rewatch show counting down to Avengers Doomsday. I'm John Campbell.
And I, who no longer possess strings, bring you this most critical piece of the Doomsday Machine. And I am Mike Gargoni.
That's right, folks. This week, the Avengers are back, and this time, they're fighting a robot.
Oh, they're fighting so many robots. It makes me so happy.
This is a robot-heavy movie, and we are a robot crowd. We both have a great affinity for robot, and maybe, I wouldn't say maybe, for sure, my top 5 robots of all time is in this movie.
John, you've known me a long time. You know my preferences of things. What is the one thing that I am a huge sucker for in cinema in general?
Oh, it's robots trying to be people.
Robots trying to be people tops the list of Mike Gargoni's. These are the things I will put my butt in a seat for every time.
It's also one of the fastest ways to make you cry in any kind of content.
100%.
The amount of tears you've shed over robots.
Bicentennial Man, iRobot, AI, artificial intelligence.
I think Bicentennial Man was salt on you, to be fair. It was like an attack.
Yeah, it's like Robin Williams is a robot trying to be a person. Oh,
I mean, I will say, obviously, retrospectively now, especially the generation we were from, I just cry anytime I see Robin Williams in anything. But
it's true. Yeah.
Yes, that is particular. By the way, underrated movie, Bicentennial Man. People really shit on it.
Having rewatched it, I think it's perfectly rated. I'm a sucker for it, but I can see the rough bits.
I haven't watched it in forever, so maybe I
rewatch that film.
Yeah,
I think it's worth a rewatch if you consider it fondly.
I do, and I remember him being particularly very good in it. But anyway, we're here to talk about another actor I adore. Well, 2 in this that are playing robots, but one in particular. Because this is the age of Ultron, and Ultron, I mean, they had me when they said James Spader was playing Ultron, because I love Spader, and what an ingenious choice. His voice is so perfect to be this robot that just thinks he's got it all figured out.
Let's get this out of the way. I think you and I are both humongous fans of this film.
I think both of us have already stated on the show, and I stand by it after this rewatch of this is like the 12th time I've watched this movie. This is better than the first Avengers. And I think, undeniably, and I find it fascinating that is not, everyone's opinion.
Since we've started rewatching these films, I've rewatched this film 3 times.
Oh, that's okay. So you've gone way harder than me on it.
This is my favorite Avengers movie.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I can go that far, but I think
I know you
really,
can't.
really
but this
good.
is Mike Gargoni's favorite Avengers movie. Is Age of Ultron?
No, I think. Let me say, I can't go that far, but I don't think that's an insane opinion.
Thank you.
I think
some people would think that is an insane opinion.
No, but like I said, I remember coming out of this and thinking, "Oh, Whedon has totally topped himself." And once again, was like, "I'm sorry, that's not the consensus."
Yeah,
because I think this movie is. Deeper on a character level. I think it takes some real chances. It gets very dark in places, and I think the villain is phenomenal.
I love this condescending murder robot. Ultron is so good in this movie.
I think this is this really the first time? I'm trying to think that we really get because this will be more the case with Thanos. But this is one of the first times where I'm just like, oh, it's a mocap. Or I'm sorry, I watched some of the behind-the-scenes stuff on this because I wanted to see if there was, and I did find some footage of Spader on set because it's all him in these scenes with the actors in the pajamas, which is great. But Andy Serkis makes it very clear it's performance capture. Not motion, it's performance capture because the face is very important. But I was going to say, this is one of the first times where it's even though it's a 7-foot tall robot, it's so Spader. Everything about it and all the one moment that always felt very Spader to me is in with Andy Serkis when he cuts off Claw's arm, and he goes, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, oh, I'm sure it'll be
That'll be
okay." I'm just
okay.
like,
That'll be
"That's
okay.
Spader. That's Spader." Or the other one too, where they talk about like, "So you want to destroy the Avengers?" Well, amongst other things, but yeah,
That
like
too.
this. There's a couple moments where I'm just like, "That's having watched this guy forever on film." There's so many little Spadery
People
things.
beget little people, children. I
Yeah,
lost the word.
I lost the word there. Even if that's written, the like little I lost the word there is such a Spader turn on it.
Yeah.
And I love that he was so game for this. Like watching interviews with him on those, he's so game to be like, "Ooh, what a new like challenge as an actor."
I cannot overstate how excited I am for him to be back in the Vision Quest show. Like
And just
seeing
here, I just saw an interview with Paul Bettany where he said like that's the core of the show is their relationship. I'm like, oh,
yeah, sold.
I don't have to desire to subscribe to Disney Plus, but still somehow take my money.
My favorite scene in this movie is the last exchange between
Ah.
Vision and Ultron. It's so good.
Well, now that you bring up Vision, Vision is one of my very favorite Marvel characters.
Sure.
Once again, I think my top 10 Marvel characters are like 25 characters, so I can't, I don't actually put a ranking to it. But Vision, I've always just loved the soulful robot, right? The idea of the guy who's somehow more human than the humans in some ways, There's just something about this guy who's and striving to understand always.
The reason this sits as my favorite Avengers movie is because A, I am Mike Rigoni, I am a sucker for robots trying to be people. And the
Yeah.
central
It's a great
argument
robot.
of this movie is two robots trying to be people, but the best and worst aspects of people are
Yeah.
Ultron and Vision. That is the argument the
They
film is producing.
they both see the same view of the world, but their reaction to it is so radically different. Because
Yeah,
that's another thing I love in that last scene, the whole thing about like, they're doomed. Yes, but there's beauty in their failures.
yeah. And like something
Where
isn't
it is
beautiful
just
because
yeah,
it lasts forever is this
right. You're just like, yeah.
poetry.
Yeah, it's just like, hey man, like you're not wrong, but like I like them.
Yeah.
Like it's basically Vision's thing where it's like, yeah, man, of course we're superior beings, but like, don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, come on, man. You're
So
all right.
good.
Especially that witch lady. I like her a lot.
Yeah. It might become a problematic relationship down the road.
We'll get there. But I do remember sitting in the theater and that moment when it's Vision that saves Wanda, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, yeah. Breadcrumbs.
Oh.
Breadcrumbs.
Because of course, I mean, not only do I love Vision, but the whole Vision Scarlet Witch relationship, I have so much invested in as a comic book reader.
The fact that the MCU has actually gone out of its way to make that a reality in the texture of their ongoing universe is actually such
There's
a
a
love
robot
letter
who's in
to
love with a witch, folks.
yeah,
And people like watch these movies and shows about it.
yeah. But that's such a
They're very
like
popular.
it's not
Yeah,
it's a great story in the comics, but I wouldn't call it
it is.
like a defining turn in the arc of Marvel comic books.
Well, it's hard. It's so much harder to choose those in the comics, right?
Sure.
Because the comics are just so much more sprawling.
Right.
I mean, I
But
think
like
there are things because I was thinking about that in this movie in particular. Things where people get mad that movies kill off characters because, like, you could raise a stink about Strucker being
and
sort of just killed
Quicksilver,
off
yeah.
screen. But you are like, well, but movies have a different purpose than comics. Comics are
Yeah.
designed to run forever. Movies need stakes and consequences. Because I want to get to the death of Quicksilver, obviously, because
Yeah.
I think that's a controversial point. But I would say if you are looking at this as a movie, as a 3-act movie, that is a very good writing decision that makes sense.
Yeah.
As a comic book fan going, oh no, you've cost us Quicksilver in future movies. Okay, but that's the struggle here, right? Is
Yeah.
we're not writing a comic book, we're writing a movie. And I think number one, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is great. I've always thought he is a phenomenal actor who, and I've heard other people bring this up too. Every time they build a vehicle around that guy, it lets him down. It's a real bummer
Mm,
because he always pops in everything else I see him in.
well,
And then they're like,
yeah.
here's his movie. Like, it stinks.
Unfortunately, Craven the Hunter did let him down, among other people, but yes.
Yeah, but that's the thing about it is, like, he's always this guy where I'm like, why isn't he a movie star? It's like, well, why is every vehicle he's in terrible, except for Kick-Ass? But I think people forget that's him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And, like,
but I think
obviously
that
he's
the death of
kind of the
Cobra
main
is very
character of 2014's Godzilla, but also Godzilla is the main character of 2014's Godzilla.
there's the problem too, is like it is sort of a thing where people are like, oh right.
Yeah.
Lest we forget Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch are in that movie.
Yeah. Playing husband and wife,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of like that's somehow retroactively gross. Oh, they're
like,
twins. That's disgusting.
hey, look, read Ultimates if you want to talk about that. But yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about because let's talk about the event. Right off the bat, the first scene of this movie rules. It rules so hard. I can't even. The decision to just open up full on Avengers. We're not getting the band back together. They're already here. They're mid mission. They've been at it for a while.
It's
I love it.
actually the reason, in all seriousness, the reason I like this movie as my favorite Avengers movie is because it is the only of the Avengers film where we start as a team, we end as a team, we're a team through the whole thing. There's no, like, there are low moments, there are moments where we take hits and we have to rebuild our relationships, and there are, like, contentious moments, but there is no, the team is broken and we have to get them back together in this film.
Yeah.
And I really, really love it for that.
One of the things I'm excited about Doomsday is we're getting for the first time a very comic book thing, which is multiple Avengers teams.
Sure, yeah. We got your new Avengers and your mighty Avengers and your Coca-Cola presents the Avengers with a Z.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Look, I think both of us are always waiting to talk about Thunderbolts because I know that's a big one for both of us.
Yeah.
Such a good movie. But this is such a good movie, and I think actually has things in it that kind of Thunderbolts will lean even harder into. One of the things I like about this movie is it's dark and in places scary and weird.
Upon my rewatch of it for this recording, so this morning I rewatched this film again.
Yeah.
The takeaway I had on this rewatch was how understated and sad Chris Evans's performance is through the whole movie, and it really works.
It's really good, and I remember one of the criticisms of this movie when we came out of it from some people. I don't remember if people we saw it with maybe, but people were like, Cap doesn't really have anything to do in this movie. And actually, one of the things I like about this movie, and I think is very true to the Avengers, is Cap has a small arc in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like, it's basically him giving up on being Steve Rogers in some ways and just being the captain of the team.
There are like 4 or 5 moments in this film where Chris Evans stops and is contemplating a scene before him revolving around the concept of home or family. It happens during the like party scene at the beginning of the film, which I know you and I are both huge fans of that whole sequence.
Could have watched a 2-hour movie of that.
Yeah.
Would have had the scene where they're all hanging around trying to lift the hammer is maybe the best Avengers scene in any movie because they're all just hanging out as friends. Yeah. And I love it. I love every second of it.
Yep. And all the bits with like War Machine stories, maybe not hitting as hard as like Thor or Iron Man stories.
He's impressive. He's impressive to normal people, but not to Avengers.
Yeah.
Is the one of the greatest acting beats in this movie is the little nod from Don Cheadle after the regular people laugh, and he's like, I knew it was a good story. Yeah. He's so satisfied. Cheadle's so fucking good. Also, all the 90-something World War II vets, because those are Cap's buddies.
Yeah.
What a great little beat in there.
The gag of them like drinking Thor's alcohol that's been aged for 1,000 years.
Oh, this liquor was not meant for mortal man. Neither was Omaha Beach. Come on.
Yeah. Great Stan Lee cameo in this one.
Great Stan Lee cameo, getting to wear the World War II veteran hat too, which of course Stan did serve during the war, which I have immense respect for, and I love that there's a little shout out to. Yeah, man. Stan fought real Nazis, folks.
Yeah, Stan and Jack both. Though Jack also did it on the streets of New York.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's something I love and I'm sure you watched the Mel Brooks documentary that was out just a couple months ago. But I love that thing about like I think he gets carte blanche for all the Nazi stuff since he actually fought the real Nazis. The Nazi content in his movies. Yeah, this guy actually really went toe to toe with real Nazis. So you know what? I don't want to hear it.
Well, and also, I mean, he has said that like the way to like degrade the Nazis is to mock them.
Oh, always,
Yeah.
always. But yeah, that the party scene means a lot
But
to
my
us.
my point with that was that like that is the start of Chris Evans's having quiet moments throughout the
Yep.
film. There's the beat where
Yeah.
he is talking to Banner about like approaching Natasha, and there's this like quiet look that he has where he's like, "No, I'm happy for you two that you
Yeah.
have family," and then he has this moment of internal contemplation of like, I don't have that. And then there's another
Well,
moment that is
especially
echoing
because
that later at Hawkeye's place. And then, like, it just keeps happening
it's
throughout the movie.
interesting.
Chris Evans is quietly very sad in this film.
Yeah, he's a very good actor, Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And I know that's like, but like, honestly, I think sometimes when people are handsome movie stars, people kind of are like, well, yeah, but then you're like, no, no, look at what he's doing. He's a really good actor
Yeah.
and is doing a lot very subtly, like specifically film acting, as you talk about. A lot of it is just on his face. And so there's actually a lot more than if you were to just look at the script and go, oh, what, how many lines does he have or how much this movie's about Cap.
Yeah. The moment that like is the nail on the head for that is the centerpiece that most people are just like walking away from is like, oh, that's the Cap is sad sequence is when he's getting the vision from Scarlet Witch and there's the flashback with Peggy
Which is
Carter.
great.
Yeah.
Is great. And I love the way that's kind of like nostalgic and beautiful and then starts to turn darker and more horrific. And guys are laughing as they're bleeding. And it's like, man,
But the bleeding is also
this is
maybe
heavy.
just wine spilled on them, and like some of the popping
Yeah.
of corks and the like snapping of cameras is the like
Yeah.
explosions you hear. The sound mixing in that scene is surreal and really cool.
Yeah. I think this movie, because one of the things and I don't hate it, but I do think the first Avengers movie looks a little flat. It's a little bright. This one is so much more interesting looking, sounding. I don't know if this is Whedon being a more confident director or something, but I just think this movie is so much more interesting on so many levels than the first one, which
Well,
is not to bag on the first one. It's total fun.
the first one's fun, but it has like a color palette that is simple and bright. This one
Yeah.
changes as we move locations. It like
Yeah.
characters have different lighting dynamics depending on their mood and their intention. It's a much more interesting visual film.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that is also just the confidence of Marvel because, like, the first one was so like, oh man, can we even make an Avengers movie? So I think there was probably an attempt there to be like, we need to make this as like simple and easy to sell to people as possible. And then this one, they get to be a little bit more, okay, we can take a chance more on this one.
Yeah.
And then even more so by the time they make Infinity War, and then they know they've got us in the palm of their hand.
Sure. And one of the reasons this movie is like more confident, more willing to dare is that we're coming off of the continued success of the other MCU movies, obviously, but Age of Ultron coming out in 2015 after they've proved that a tree and a raccoon can be a sensation. Like,
Right.
obviously this movie was being made while Guardians was also being made, but there is this swagger that the MCU is moving into of just like, nah, man, we rule, and there's nothing getting away from that.
This one really has some of that confidence, and I think that just will keep building as we see it, where it's just like, we got you, baby.
Yeah.
Don't worry. MCU got you.
We're going to give you
and
a movie where Paul Bettany is a floating robot in pajamas wearing a cape.
Oh, Paul Number one, I love Paul Bettany and everything. I don't get me started on Master and Commander, because Paul Bettany and Russell Crowe on an old ship. Oh, does cinema get better? Why aren't there 5 of them? But he's just. It is a thing where if one of those ideas that like isn't from the comics, but you're like, of course, and was all Whedon from what I gather of like, you have Paul Bettany and you're just having him do a voice, like. And then obviously like we'll just make Jarvis Ultron or Vision.
Yeah.
Just make Jarvis Vision. there you go. You've got this and he's amazing.
Yeah.
The second he shows up so late into this movie,
Basically the
and then
start of the
like
third
takes over
act.
the
Yeah.
movie. And then but then you're just like, oh, my favorite character is Vision.
I mean, the moment he picks up the hammer, you're just like, oh, yeah, this is the guy. Love this guy.
I remember people screaming because we saw this at like past the midnight thing. We weren't doing those anymore, but this is when they started doing the like 7 p.m. on a Thursday screenings.
Yeah.
And I just remember people screaming when he it's so brilliantly constructed the way he just turns and hands the hammer to Thor. And it's beautifully set up because they did the whole scene where nobody could lift it, although maybe Cap can. But I do love that fan theory. But no, he could. He's not going to show off like that, though.
That is a brilliant take from Hemsworth too. When the hammer scooches and his face just drops, it's perfect.
Well, and then if you recall in Endgame, he's like, "I knew it," because of course, if there's anyone worthy, it's Cap. But yes, that moment and I love the whole thing about like, how can we ever trust this guy? He came Ultron, he does that, and you're like, "Oh no, he's the best of us.
Yeah,
He's
he
a
is
being
worthy.
of pure good." Yeah, he fucking rules. And then when he's kicking ass at the end and he's phasing his arm through robots, and then I mean, my God, one of the best shots when they're all blasting Ultron at the same time. The three of them.
It's Iron Man, Vision, and Thor all shooting beams and electricity at Ultron, and he's slowly melting.
So much satisfying team up moves in this movie.
Right at the start, when Thor and Cap are beating the hammer with the shield and like blowing up all the Hydra guys. It's so good.
Well, the ease at which they burn through those Hydra soldiers is so good because you're just like, I mean, there's even the line that we love, the whole thing about like, can you hold them back? The Avengers. It's like, no, they're unstoppable. Like at this point, they are the comic book Avengers. Where you see them coming, you better run because nobody's going to beat the Avengers. They have to bust out their couple of freak show superheroes to even put up a fight.
Yeah. I know there is some contention among fans about just how the inclusion of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver happens, insofar as like they're not their comic book counterparts. They're very different in terms of their origin stories here.
But I almost feel like that argument, especially now, talking now even, where we're so far into that, is such a dumb, maybe not dumb, but like of course not. Like the MCU has shown that they are inspired by the comics, but they're always going to do what works for their movie. Yeah. So that just seems like a pointless complaint now, particularly I'm talking in 2026 where we've seen so many of these things where it's like nobody's exactly their comic book counterpart. How could they be in some ways?
I'd say the only one that's probably the closest in terms of MCU is Cap, right? Because like you don't futz around with that story all that much.
No, yeah, he's pretty close. You know, and that's the thing. But they all have, but to varying degrees, I should say, because some people are like incredibly far off the mark. Well, I mean, I remember people being like, "What do you mean Tony Stark and Bruce Banner built Ultron?"
Right, exactly. Or
like,
the fact that
makes sense.
The fact that this Nick Fury isn't also from World War II, or the fact that this Tony Stark got blown up in Afghanistan as opposed to what was originally Vietnam.
Vietnam, yeah. I mean, it's of course. There's some stuff. Like all the stuff you're talking about changed because of time. Yeah. Some stuff changes like the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver because we don't have the rights to Magneto. Like, I mean, there's some stuff too where you're just like, I don't. It's almost a necessity. But I will say, a friend of the show, Brendan Jones, who is famously a nitpicker and likes things close to the source material. Something he does always compliment Marvel movies is he said pretty much every change they make, you go, hey, and then you go, oh no, I followed that. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Follow the logic.
Yeah, because everything is really, because they're, once again, this is not you can read the comic. The comic's right there. They're over there. There's literally a shelf of Marvel comics right there. Like that's the thing where it's like, that's unchanging. So the movies have to extrapolate and then work in their own logic, right? You have to make decisions. And like I said, sometimes you have to kill off characters who are, yes, everyone is someone's favorite character. But like sometimes that's just the nature of this story we are telling.
But John, how will we get the love story between Quicksilver and Crystal, the princess of the Inhumans now?
I think you got a better chance of Quicksilver coming back than seeing Crystal again. Yeah, he's gonna bust out of his own grave before we see the Inhumans.
I mean,
But
he almost did in WandaVision, but yeah.
yeah, that was so great. That was so great. And of course, we're not talking about the TV shows, so but this will eventually. This is our first inklings towards that, which is such a phenomenal Marvel story.
Oh yeah. But
And so
again,
well done.
I want to reiterate the fact that the MCU has actually made the Scarlet Witch Quicksilver like love story, family tragedy a part of
Yeah.
the larger texture, and honestly a pretty like decent sized part of that texture of the story
Big time. I
happening.
mean, especially when we get to Infinity War and Endgame.
And Multiverse of
It's
Madness, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it becomes her whole motivation eventually.
Right. It's
Um,
just so wild to
it's
me that like that was the course of the story took, because it's so easy to just like not tell that story. It would be so easy to be like, well, we've got other characters we can focus on.
Yeah, I mean, I will say there is this interesting thing too when I said the comic books are so much bigger in scope. They just
Yeah.
are, and there's so much more of them because you're telling monthly stories for decades at a time. That it is, I mean, at a certain point, it is kind of a thing of like it is sort of what is Kevin Feige interested in, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he is the ultimate decider. So it is sort of like he is responding to certain aspects of the comics and going make that a focus. So the fact that that's something I also focus on in those comics. I love all the Scarlet Witch and Vision stuff, and I mean, we both love the Tom King Vision run, which I know
Yeah.
plays a part in WandaVision and will play also into Vision Quest, which is coming out as of the recording of this, in the fall. Um, that's really exciting. That's stuff we like. I will say another thing to lead into this movie. You know how much I love that this movie, a lot of is a Hawkeye movie.
This movie is somewhat
It's
of an
almost a direct
apology
reaction
letter.
to yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because Renner was pretty open about like, hey man, kind of wasted my time a little bit in the first Avengers. Like, I'm psyched to be here, and then what's this now? I'm under mind control for like 2/3 of the movie.
And he's barely in the first film. Like he's there and he's around and he plays his part in the third act, but
Yeah.
he doesn't have much
But
in the way of a character arc.
this movie really, it's not even that he has a character arc in this movie as much as this is like, oh, this is why Clint's on the team, this
Yeah,
movie.
for sure.
And really gets to why I love that character so much. Because, of course, I'm such a huge fan of that character and always have defended him when they talk about him being the forgettable Avenger. And that's almost a joke in this movie, right? It's like, he's the guy with the bow and arrow. What's he doing here?
Yeah.
But it's like, honestly, he's the heart of the team. He's he's the most human, and I don't just mean literally human, but most human person on the team.
Well, the decision to make him Family Man Hawkeye, which is a thing from a version of the comics, Ultimate Hawkeye was this, basically.
I will say it's very clear that Whedon loves the Ultimate comics.
Sure. Yeah.
He takes a lot from the Ultimate comics, and
especially
I do think
the early ones. I don't know how much he was pulling from later Ultimate comics.
Yeah, because the Ultimates get it. But I will say the Ultimates were kind of like the movies in some ways, where they were like, all right, here's a clean, modern take on these characters, sort of freed from a lot of the baggage of stuff. And so it makes sense to me that would be, of course, because they were almost designed like, especially if you read like the first two Ultimates, they really are designed like movies.
Yeah. And
structured and stuff.
Making Hawkeye more of a family man who is a spy as his day job, as opposed to an evil carny that eventually becomes a hero.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, try to explain that in a movie that's especially an Avengers movie. Good luck. But it also separates him from the team in a positive way, like in this way where it's like, one of my favorite moments in any Marvel movie is Hawkeye's speech to Scarlet Witch when they're hidden in that building. And it's just because it's just this whole idea about like everyone's here because where else would they be, sort of? Or if you're Tony, you have an ego on you that makes you want to save the world. Hawkeye's here because it's his fucking job. And that's why I love it. That's why he's my favorite Avenger, is because he's the guy who clocks in and out and is just like, even in the comics where he's not Family Man, he is still just guy who works as an Avenger. It's on his resume.
Yeah. He's got the expired license that says Avengers in his wallet.
Mm-hmm. forgot to renew this. I didn't pay my dues,
Right,
like that kind of thing,
exactly.
right? But yeah, and in this movie, because I didn't know any of this coming into the movie, and so when I'm like, what are they doing with him? Where he's like secretly calling people and stuff, and when you find out he's married to Linda Cardellini, which the best.
Yeah. I mean, that
Doesn't
goes
have a
back
ton to do
to
in this movie, but
us as fans of the
Freaks
show
and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks. Yeah.
Anytime I see her in anything, I'm thrilled, and I'm so glad she's been doing a lot of stuff recently, which I'm so happy about. If people haven't seen DTF St. Louis, it's about as far away from a superhero thing as exists. But you should watch it, and it does have her and David Harbour, so a couple of MCU people.
Okay.
But it's so good, and she's amazing in it. But anyway, talk about also. Once again, we've talked about Whedon at length, so I'm just talking about him. But like, what another great casting choice of. She doesn't have many scenes in this movie, but she really has a presence. When you cast somebody as good as her, and you really buy the relationship between her and Renner
Yeah, for
in the
sure.
couple scenes they have, it's like they have that. And I mean, she also has one of my favorite lines in this movie, which is, I totally support your avenging.
Yeah. But she also does a lot to, like you say, humanize Hawkeye, but by extension, that also humanizes Black Widow, who this is the movie that cements her like having character motivations for me. Like before now, she was just kind of like
Yeah.
spy lady.
I think what it does is it really solidifies what those are, because the pieces of what of her thing in this movie is in her other appearances, but this really cements what that is, what that trauma comes from,
Yeah.
what she's working past,
Yeah.
what she and actually I'm not she doesn't fully know, but she's starting to think about the future in a way she probably never has. She's
Right.
thinking, what do I want after this? Maybe there is more to my life than being assassin lady.
Well, and that plays into the whole struggle she has with memories of the Red Room and having to be sterilized, and that whole conversation she has with
Which ended
Banner
up being
that
super.
it became controversial because there's a way to read that conversation where she says,
Yeah.
I'm a monster, and that's on the heels of her saying she got sterilized. But in the
There's a
context of
key
the conversation,
component
she's
in
talking
between.
about killing people and being a monster, not I can't
Because they
have
say
babies
that
and that makes me a monster.
they say that the sterilizing of never being able to have a family not only keeps you as the single entity, but it makes it easier to kill. It creates a certain distance from empathy, is the thinking of the Red Room. To be
Sure.
fair, also, she is describing the thought process of an evil place that's brainwashing girls into being assassins. And so
Yeah.
that subsequently is but a piece in building this monster that they turned her into. I do think it's a thing where, yes, if you read it in isolation and don't actually watch the scene, I could see why you'd be like, Jesus Christ, they put what in the movie? But I don't think it's a rare time that, Whedon's got plenty of toxic stuff about him. I don't think this is that, and maybe
Yeah.
that's just me. If you were really upset by it, that's totally fair.
I think
but
the dialogue
that's not how I read the scene.
the dialogue was constructed in such a way that it can be construed that way, and that's why a lot of people wrote about it at the time. And
But I think yes, but I do think I would think that a Scarlett Johansson would be the first to be like, hey, wait a minute, if there really was a problem there.
I should hope so in the moment, right?
I mean, based on, I will just say, she's not been shy about, and of course, when we get to Black Widow, we can talk about her, suing Disney for not giving her full due on that movie.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a shrinking violet of a woman from anything I've ever heard.
Right. And she's been around Hollywood long enough to like not make any bones about like, look, she knows what she's
By the
worth.
way, she's always one of those people where I go like, she's not actually that much older than we are.
No, she's
But
only like
she's
a couple
been
of years older than us.
But she's been on screen since she was like 9.
Right.
Yeah, she's only like 5 years older than us. Yeah. It's crazy. She's just been around forever. Anyway, she's great in this, and I mean, obviously, Whedon has a particular affinity for that character. Both movies really give a lot to Black Widow, and this
Yeah.
one, I want to. You know where I want to get this into is because I think it's obviously one of the big things that isn't from the comics, which is the Banner Natasha romance, and I specifically want to ask your opinions on this as our resident Hulk guy. I love the Hulk as well, but obviously
Yeah.
you're sort of the
I
the
think
Hulk number one. I'm not talking about Hawkeye. You're going to talk about the Hulk, you know?
sure. And I was waiting to go off on a tear about the Hulk in this movie, because another
Sure.
reason I love this film so much is because it is the last time we get to see my favorite aspects of the Hulk, which is this dichotomous, like, I got a monster living in me and I'm terrified of it coming out, and I am self-destructive in a certain way because
Yeah.
I feel a certain amount of guilt about this monster inside of me. And
Yeah. Sure.
that plays with the relationship between Natasha and Banner. The reason I'm okay with it, I'm okay with it because it's played well and the actors have good chemistry, and I think it's done well over the course of the movie. But also because I've never gotten a straight up Hulk movie, so that we can have this conversation between him and Betty. I mean, yeah,
Right.
that is what the relationship status I want to see in the Hulk. I want to see Bruce Banner
I mean,
sad because he feels like he can't have a relationship.
Feige has talked about building a stealth Hulk movie out of these movies, right?
Yeah.
Between this Ragnarok and then Infinity War / Endgame,
Yeah, and all
that
the
there
pieces,
is sort of a trilogy of Hulk stories that has to happen in the background due to whatever the bullshit.
Yeah, the rights
legality
bullshit, for sure. And that makes me sad that that's the way we have to do it. But what we get
still a good
here
Hulk story. They
is still good
Hulk story. Yeah, yeah, it's good stuff. And obviously Ruffalo, is so in at this point. And I love. Yeah, I don't. Number one, we're never the people who are like, "Hey, that wasn't in the comics." If it works as a movie, I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to hold something against something just because it's a new idea. Number one, everything has been done in the comics. I mean, my God, he said,
Sure.
at this point, I mean, I'm actually shocked it hasn't happened in the comics in some ways, right? Because it is like, by God, they've paired up everybody at some point because they're desperate for stories. But yes, and the whole idea about like, he's afraid of the monster inside of him. She's afraid that she is a monster, period.
Right.
Can she ever undo really the red in her ledger, which is a great description of it. This idea about like, yeah, they're both aware of, they're both carrying this burden of sins they committed that are maybe not wholly their fault.
Yeah. And obviously in the Black Widow movie, we'll find out more extensively that like, oh yeah, maybe there was like legit brainwashing involved.
Yeah.
And where Banner
also,
is concerned.
Hold on, because God, I like that movie. But yeah.
But where Banner is concerned, this is sort of the last film where we see Ruffalo go full shaken, like, my God, what have I done? And like, we didn't really get much of that in the first Avengers movie. There's like the idea that he knows he's dangerous, but this is the only real film where we get like a full-blown evil Hulk rampage.
Yeah, I mean, a full-on mind control, because they start doing plays on that going forward. I mean, with Ragnarok, it's the Hulk is really running the show for the most part, and then with Infinity War, it's the idea of now I need to be the monster and I can't be, and then of course, then you get the symbiosis that is in Endgame.
Sure. But this is the only movie where we get a full-blown Hulk is on a rampage and somebody's got to stop him. And like we got that a little bit in the first Avengers, but it was pretty contained to the helicarrier.
On the helicarrier. Yeah, it's really well done and actually legit scary in that movie, which I like about it. But yeah, here you get the full-on, and of course we get the Hulkbuster, which this was obviously the set piece that they were like, well, before anything has been decided, this scene is happening in this movie.
This is gonna sell a lot of Lego sets.
And it does. I have this Lego set.
Yeah.
We both have this Lego set. So, like, because it's cool as hell. And I've always loved the Hulkbuster. I even have, hold on.
Do you have one on your shelf just next to you? Oh my God.
I don't have the Lego set, but I do have the Funko of it.
Yeah, there
which
you go.
does open up, and it's got a little mini
inside.
Iron Man in there. Yeah. So I do have this. It's literally on my shelf with my other Iron Man toys. Because it's just such a cool idea of, obviously, how smart Tony Stark is. There's like, I've prepared for the situation where the Hulk freaks out and I need something that can give me the edge in that fight. And even still, boy, he's just hanging in there for the most part with the Hulkbuster. It's still
one of my favorite moments in the film is when the Hulk spits out the tooth and it just cuts to Tony just going, "I'm sorry."
I'm sorry. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. That also gets. I will say this also has, and I know there was friction between Whedon and Downey because Downey's a jazz kind of.
Sure,
I'm gonna
yeah.
take it where I want to
And
go, and
Whedon's
Whedon's like,
more
you're gonna
like you
stay
read
there.
what's on the page.
But I will say, I don't. So I don't know who's responsible for this stuff. Once again, we've got a Downey who is wearing this like a perfectly tailored suit. All some of the funniest Tony Stark stuff is in this movie. The whole like, please be secret door, please be secret door, yay! He's just, and even Tony Stark feels like he's just like, yeah, man, I'm Iron Man, and I'm. But also, there's a lot of complexity to this guy too, because you talk about Steve is trying to find a place for himself. I think one of the interesting things is you also were saying this is a movie where the stars a team, the end is a team, but yet the whole vibe of the movie is like this is ending. This is the last Avengers adventure because Tony's actively trying to put them out of business.
Yeah. And the fact that one of the complaints I've seen about this movie is like some of Tony's moves don't make sense, and like completely disregarding the fact that he's kind of been hit with a mind whammy at the start of the film, and that's the whole impetus to the thing.
I mean, the thing that I think is really good about the screenwriting here is it beautifully plays off of Iron Man 3. Like the
Yeah.
Avengers to Iron Man 3 to this, that mind whammy is not introducing anything that wasn't already there. It's just amplifying his fears immensely. And I think, by the way, I love all the trippy dream stuff. That's totally my jam. But the whole thing where you have Dying Cat being like, "You let this happen.
You
It's
could have
your
done
fault.
more."
We're dead." And then also the reveal about your biggest fear isn't that all your friends died; it's that you didn't.
Right. The
Of course,
scene where that
incredibly
happens
well said.
and we cut back to RDJ and it's Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch just in the background, the look on
Yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen's face, she doesn't say any dialogue. She just smiles because she knows that this is the seed
By
of
the way,
destruction.
I think that's the first time we've said the name Elizabeth Olsen, and oh my god, I've been a fan of hers right from she made a movie called Martha, Marcy May, Marlene. Say that 5 times fast.
No.
But yeah, that's a great movie where she plays a woman who escapes from like a crazy religious cult, and it's all about like dealing with the trauma of that.
Hmm.
Uh, so I've been a fan from like moment one on her. She's so fucking good, and this is but a taste of what she's capable of in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because the amount, if you just look at what she's done as Wanda, let alone I've seen her be incredible in numerous other projects. Because I will say she's chosen some very interesting shows and movies outside of Marvel. She's a really, really good actress.
Like
But
2014's
man,
Godzilla.
yeah, she's great in that as wife concerned on phone. Why even bother her with that?
I know,
Uh,
I know.
yeah, I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson barely has anything to do. There's a movie I fucking love, though. If you actually want to see her be very good in something that she and Renner did after this called Wind River, that is, oh my God, it's so good. It's
Mm,
so good. It's kind of a modern day Western. So, of course, I love it. It's Taylor Sheridan. I know.
yeah.
But like,
Is a man
yeah, who I
concerned with
love.
his land?
I guess in that Jeremy Renner's trying to protect the people of the land that
Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah, somebody's hurting people on the land that he patrols.
Hmm.
So, it's in that vein. But anyway, also Love and Death, she did a show for HBO that I thought she was amazing. And last year she did a movie called Eternity that I think people really slept on and they should see. It's one of the most original romantic comedies I've seen in a long time.
Hmm.
So anyway, check out all of that stuff. But she's so good here, and like I said, like it's almost like going back and watching this, and I'm going like, oh man, and she's only in first gear
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like this
because
won't
they're both.
even
I mean, the thing,
plumb the depths that we get to in WandaVision, God
no,
forbid. But even in Civil War, she has so much more to play with.
she's amazing, and she's so good in this part, and also as this part continues along, they keep teeing her up because they know that she can do it. But the thing I like in this movie, and talking about that their origin is very different, of course, than the comics, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, but they are victims of Stark's war profiteering, and that's their thing is they aren't villains per se as much as they are damaged people, and it's actually a really interesting commentary, not to get too much in the weeds on like the real politics of it, but it is about like, oh, this is how an extremist comes to be.
Yeah.
You go like, how could anyone do that thing? Well, it's born of this kind of trauma where all of a sudden, and what may be a totally valid emotion spirals, snowballs, grows bigger and bigger into this rage that becomes irrational into this where you're like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Now you are participating in the atrocities that created you. And the moment when she sees that Ultron's ultimate goal is total destruction, it's beautifully played.
Yeah. I mean, Cap has that line early in the film when he's introduced to them. He's like, yeah, who would let a German scientist experiment on them if their country's under attack? And
It's
yeah,
it is another small moment of pure Steve Rogers where you're just like, right, Steve Rogers still will be empathetic even for the people who are conceivably his enemy.
yeah,
But he is like, oh no, they're of something. I don't know if they can be saved, but can we at least consider that there's some sort of thought to this and
right.
that they're not just pure evil.
No, it's
Great.
a very well considered like play of that character. And honestly, the magic trick of this film is that there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 principal characters. I mean, 10 if you include Ultron, right?
Essentially, yeah.
And they all get
Balances it pretty well. Yeah.
well balanced. The only one who gets like real short shrift, I think, is maybe Quicksilver, but he still has his moment of heroics.
Mm-hmm. And I think Thor to a certain extent because he's the most like we're setting stuff up for next time with him.
Yeah, and like that came out
And this
later
of
is
course,
that there was a lot of contention in
breaking
terms of
point.
yeah.
This is the breaking point for Whedon. This is why because the thing that's interesting about all the Whedon toxic workplace stuff never was during his Marvel tenure that any of that came out. And actually, I've never even heard anything from the Marvel sets that's been a problem. I think that's interesting.
Because
I
from what I
don't know,
understand is that when the man does not have like draconic tyrannical rule over a set, which he wouldn't in a larger Marvel production.
Yeah, that's the thing where it's like a lot of the accusations of stuff happened on his shows,
right.
and then interestingly on the Justice League reshoots, it sounds like he was a real monster on those.
Yeah.
Talk to Gal Gadot about that. She did not have a great experience with it.
Who knows?
And
Maybe some of that is
Affleck,
squashed by Disney because they want that squeaky clean image more.
Maybe, but I think you are to a certain extent like you don't pull that shit on an RDJ.
Yeah.
You don't, I mean, like these aren't people that are. Although I do think it's very interesting that he saw that, but I mean, Ben Affleck talked about like it made me not want to make movies anymore. The experience on those reshoots, where he's just like, I fucking hate being here every day. It's like Jesus. But anyway, all that is to say, what I was saying now, because I got off on that thing about
just like the balancing act between characters here and Thor's.
It's not Whedon didn't come back to Marvel expressly because of his behavior. There was real tension here in this movie that he felt. Talk about not having control about it. He felt that because these scenes setting up a Thor movie, Ragnarok specifically,
kind of
not the Ragnarok we thought, but a Ragnarok, that he felt that was really them infringing on, like, you're telling me what to write. And it's sort of a thing that I think, and I've brought this up before, it's a really interesting thing where it is, and I think it's why somebody with an ego like Whedon doesn't work in something like this, is like, these aren't your characters. And and I said, if you don't want to do that and film it, because there are plenty of filmmakers who don't want to do that, so they just don't work for Marvel.
Yeah.
But it is sort of a thing about like, how dare you tell me what to do with Thor? And there's Kevin Feige going like, we own Thor, right? Like that sort of thing where it's like that's kind of the game. And it's really interesting because you've seen over the years the people who can clearly work within that. It is people like the Russos, right? Where they have a harmonious relationship where they are able to understand where our voice comes in. It's something I heard Sam Raimi was very good at on Multiverse of Madness. Was he knew when to Raimi, and he knew when to put in the stuff Marvel needed. And it wasn't a battle. It was like, I'll Raimi over here, you Marvel over there, and it's going to work.
Right.
And you can feel that in that movie.
The
And this movie
seams you can
does that,
feel in
even though you're
this
like, yeah, go
the
ahead.
seams you feel in this film are mostly around Thor. And so
Hmm.
far as like he's the one delivering the, by the way, the Infinity Stones, these are a thing that are now happening. If you didn't watch any of the other movies before you watched Age of Ultron, by the way, there are other Infinity Stones kicking around that we got to worry about. And there's a
Which
guy with
is
a big purple face and a glove that's going to be a problem soon.
that feels a little clunky. It does
Yeah,
feel a little bit like this is necessary for other stuff. This is not really advancing Thor as much as it's advancing the movie. I mean, also the fact that he's like, "I'm sorry, everyone, I have to leave our movie to go learn some stuff over here." Is not the. I'm not going to say I love it. I don't dislike what happens. I actually really love the vision with blind Idris Elba, who I think comes in and just plays the hell out of one scene because they give him some blind context. And all of a sudden he goes, "Can't you see what you've done to?" I'm just like, oh, Idris is thrilled to get some weird stuff to play. And of course, automatic thumbs up for me if you put Idris Elba in your movie. Period.
sure. And
Um,
also give
love that.
Skarsgård something to do for 2 days, I guess.
Who's his agent that he got this kind of contract where it's like, I just have to show up for everything? Oh my God. It is sort of like you will sort of go like, why? But okay.
I'm curious. I just want to
And
look
then
real
he's at
quick.
the
Like,
end too. He's just there at the end.
sure, he's part of the Avengers team now. He's one of their guys in
Yeah,
the
sure, why
chair.
not?
Let's see.
Have we ever seen him again, by the way?
In any of he
I
was
think this might
technically
be the last time.
he was technically in Love and
I
Thunder.
think was he?
Yeah.
Jeez,
He's
I forgot if he was.
he's
Okay.
briefly in a scene
Okay.
with
All right.
Jane.
Oh, you're right. He is. He is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. 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 That's good. Because I was gonna say, I'm like, is this the last we see of him? Which is weird because he's like, and I'm here working for the Avengers at the end, and I'm like, do we never see him again? Oh no, I guess we do. Yes, now I do remember him being in Love and Thunder, and that makes sense because of course his connection would be primarily to Jane.
I mean, we see at the end of this movie the Avengers compound as like this is where the Avengers are operating out of. This team of
Yes.
Avengers, we'll only see them go on one mission at the start of Civil War, and then everything goes to hell.
I think it's implied that they've gone on some other ones.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, sure.
But
And
yes,
that's
that
like when Ant-Man tries to invade this compound, that's the team of Avengers that's running around.
yeah, because we'll get Sam in next week's movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
By the way, I mean everyone has read this about what Whedon wanted this team lineup at the end to be. I'm kind of glad it didn't happen
What was
because,
the
like, if
I know
Captain Marvel
Captain
just
Marvel
showed
yeah.
up, Spider-Man was the other one he tried to put in here, and you can't. Both
out
of
of
those would have
nowhere.
felt Spider-Man in particular, because everyone would have known who that was, and Captain Marvel would have been done a disservice because people would have just been like, "Who's this blonde lady that's just here?" Like, it would
Glowing.
have been
Yeah.
big for us, but just would have been like, what a disservice just be like, "Oh, and at some point we met Carol Danvers." No, you can't just do that. So I'm glad that it's all people that are already in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
same.
we already know, and it's just like, yeah, it's instead like I don't want to just be like, and Captain Marvel's here too. I mean, that feels like just comic book nerd wants to play with toys a little bit, where Joss Whedon's like, and then at the end, it's Captain Marvel and Spider-Man, and you're like, whoa, 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 calm down, buddy. I think also we were tentative on whether or not we could even get Spider-Man at this point, because Civil War is where they kind of cracked that, and that's still a little bit out. But I
Yeah.
do think this unlike people talk about Iron Man 3 being like, is Downey coming back? This is the movie that ends with the like, I'm here if they can pay me.
This is the one
'Cause
where
this
Downey
definitely
literally
sets up that-
says, "I'm gonna go like upstate to a farm" at the end of this movie.
which he will, but that will happen in Endgame. But it
Yeah.
is sort of a thing where he is a little bit like, hey man, negotiations inbound. I'm not dead. I'm not really fully quitting, but I'm kind of taking a step back. So, send my agent a number and we'll
Yeah.
see. Because it does the ending. It does have this. It does have kind of a weird ending in that, like, it does sort of feel like, hey man, Hemsworth is going off to do cosmic shit, and Downey's going to be over there, hoping to get that third Sherlock Holmes movie off the ground. And Doolittle's the answer for me. He says,
Oh boy.
I adore Robert Downey Jr. He's one of my favorite actors, so I apologize for mocking him. But I will say there was a period of time when it did sort of feel like, hey man, is anything that's not Marvel working?
Yeah,
The
no,
Judge? Did
this
anyone
is
else
that
see The
era.
Judge? I think I'm the only person that saw the movie The Judge. Um,
We judge the
it's
judge.
okay. Yeah, The Judge. Yeah, they love to joke about that on Blank Check. That movie. Um, it should be my favorite movie. It's him and Robert Duvall and Billy Bob Thornton, who are three of my all-time favorite actors. It's okay. I mean, it's
It's
not a
okay.
terrible movie, but yeah, it's okay. But yeah, that was anyway. Now he's got his Oscar, and he's on top of the world.
Sure. Oh, he's Doctor Doom.
Yeah, yeah, the world will be his. I can't wait. I can't wait to see
We
what he
haven't
does
talked
with it.
at all about Samuel L. Jackson just showing up out of nowhere in this film.
I mean, I have no issue with it.
Yeah,
One could
that's
argue he shows up out of nowhere, but also I'm like, that's not out of character for Nick Fury.
yeah. No, that's fair. This
I'm here to save your butts, everybody. Twice.
it would be remiss of me not to mention this was peak moment for me, Mike Rigoni, Agents of Shield fan, going like, "Oh, that's what they're working on in the show. They're getting them the helicarrier that shows up at the end of this movie." Ah,
But I do think it's very telling that none of them are seen.
I know.
Like it's still a one-way relationship, right?
Yeah,
It's still
no,
a thing where Feige's like, that's cute. Because I'm sure somebody at some point goes, hey, should we have some of them on the helicarrier? And probably Kevin Feige was like, nope.
Yeah. It is definitely the last of that like one-way relationship in a big way.
Hashtag everything's connected.
Yeah. Because like
connected, Gurgun.
after this show comes out, the following stuff in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the show is way more tangentially related. There'll be some lip service to the Sokovia Accords after Civil War, and there will be a moment in season 5 where they're like, Thanos is coming, uh-oh, but then nothing will really come of it in the show.
Oh. No, and I mean, and that's unfortunate. I mean, I would love for there to be a world that that a TV show and these movies were in complete harmony, but unfortunately, it seemed like it was a fractured concept from the start because some people were in on it and some people aren't. You really got to have everybody in on that.
Well, and especially by the time we get to Age of Ultron, and the success of these films is without a doubt. When they can make something like Guardians of the Galaxy work for mass audiences, they're like, well, they can just do whatever they want, and it'll make money. And that means Kevin Feige is now king of the world, and that means that Ike Perlmutter can go kick rocks.
Yeah. By the way, did you? I think this is the first one we're recording since the announcement that Brad Winderbaum is going to run the comics company. So somebody from the film division is now the head of the comics as well.
Huh. Well, look forward to some more corporate synergy on that end.
I mean, I will say that they're kind of just catching up to what DC's doing, where like James Gunn controls all. Yeah, head of Marvel, television, animation, and comics. Brad Winderbaum.
Yeah, and again, like
he's
how much of a
this is a new title. This may be the first time I've seen this title. He's head of franchise.
Okay. But yeah, how much of a heavy editorial hand that even means for comic books? Probably non-existent.
No, I mean, we know that comic books are. I mean, this just they don't make enough money for anyone to be like too much on their ass.
Yeah, it's like
it's just not. That's the thing about if you're not putting that kind of money in, then it doesn't really matter. You know, like
we'll get a clumsy. We'll get a clumsy crossover event or two that try to tie in with a movie here and there. Like when we got Civil War 2 coming out right as the movie Civil War was coming out.
Because everyone loved that famously. It was one of the best stories Marvel ever told.
That book sucked so hard.
It's shockingly bad for who did it. Like the fact that that's Bendis and Marquez was kind of the last Bendis thing at Marvel.
Because then he went over to DC and like was great at Superman, right?
Yeah, he wrote the best Superman, my favorite Superman ever. I didn't have any issues with it. I definitely didn't actively stop reading it out of rage, despite the fact I'm pretty well on the like when I had a comics box, it was pretty well known that I would get Batman and Superman no matter the creative team. Those are my top two guys and always will be. Number one. They're the most boring choices of favorite superheroes, but I don't care. Those have been my guys my whole life.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I did. That was one of the only times I dropped Superman. Was like, I can't read anymore. I also didn't like that he was writing Superman and action, because I was like,
Mm.
action should be an alternative, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. He was writing both. All right, all right. I'm gonna move on. I'll move on. Let's see. The end of this movie fucking rules when it turns into like a Sam Peckinpah Last Stand.
Yeah. When
It's
when
one of the
Thor
best shots
says,
in the
"Is
whole
that the
movie.
best you got?" and Ultron rolls up, raises a hand, and a billion Ultrons come out of nowhere. Ugh.
But one of the best images is that oneer that's just going around them in slow motion as they're all just like attacking
Yeah.
Ultron bots, and you're just like, I mean, that's the thing where this is where when we talk about being compromised, that's where it is I will never stop going to these movies. I will never stop watching those movies, because I'm crying watching that, because you're just like, and it's cheesy and whatever, but this is the show to say it on. But it is just like, this is my whole life. This is it, man. I've wanted this forever.
This is
Where
this
you're
is
just
my
like, there's
Bible, and you're
going
bringing it to life.
one of the best. I remember seeing a review of Civil War, and we'll get when we get there. But I think this movie created that same feeling for me. It's just this put them into words, and somebody was just saying that the airport fight in Civil War really affected them, because they go, "This is me with my action figures as a kid. This is capturing the glee, the childhood thing of these guys versus these guys," and and it's just like that. It has that thing where it does make me a child again. And if you're not into these movies, that's fine, because you weren't. I mean, I was reading comic books before I could read. I was just looking at
Yeah.
the pictures
Yeah.
and
Totally.
going, yeah, where you're just going like, oh my God. And almost that there's something so beautiful about that, where I was almost having to make up my own stories out of the pictures. And then I had the toys of all the characters, and it was just like, yeah, these are no, I mean, when you talk about it, it is the closest thing I have to religion. I say that I grew up no kind of religion or anything. I had Superman. And if that offends you, I apologize. But like for me, when people talk about Jesus Christ, that's how I talk about Superman. Honestly, really
It's
is. It truly is.
but
The
it's about
belief.
instilling moral lessons, right? And a
I
good
don't mean it in the, yeah,
writer.
not in the worshiping sense, but in
Yeah.
the like I take from the lessons taught by these
Yeah. Yeah.
characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I feel about Superman.
My morality, my childish ability to know the difference between right and wrong, and know in my soul what is a good deed and what is a villainous deed, was developed by reading the
Yeah,
stories of costumed heroes. So seeing those
100%.
heroes writ large on a big screen, and being in a room of people cheering at the victory of those heroes, it sings something in my soul and makes me happy and joyful.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Not to wax too philosophical. That's the show.
Yeah,
The the other thing I'll say about this also is, as we say this, is like we keep talking about like this is a real underdog. This movie made $1.4 billion
I
in the box
know, but
office.
like
This
there,
thing in no way underperformed, but it does sort of feel like when people talk, they go like, "Oh yeah, Age of Ultron, yeah, yeah, yeah,"
yeah, people scoff at it a little
and there's
bit.
some funky stuff in it, but man, do I think this thing cooks.
Uh,
It
Add
just
it to like the pile of like reasons. Again, this is my favorite Avengers movie, but like this final battle sequence, we get so many good team up moments, we get so many good like
yep,
little banter moments between all the Avengers, and the fact that we do get
yep.
that final like bit with Hawkeye explaining the ethos of like the hero gets back out there, the hero picks themselves up, doesn't matter how
I
crazy the
mean,
situation gets, you get out there, you're an Avenger.
yeah, it is
It's
like what is an Avenger? It's the all it takes to be an Avenger is the courage to stand up and be one, right?
yeah.
It isn't about, and so and that's such a like kid comic book thing where it is like, well, I could be an Avenger too then, right? Like it's just and I mean, and of course I mentioned that, but I do want to make my favorite part of that speech is like the city's flying, there's an army of robots, and I have a bow and arrow.
Yeah, none
None
of
of
this
this
makes
makes
sense.
sense. But he's also like, I'm not going to sit here and figure it out, because somebody's got to stop that army of robots, and all I have is my bow and arrow. Then, God damn it, I'm going to do it. And then he has the coolest fucking thing when he puts the arrow shafts on that thing that's attached to his leg, and he's able to fire a whole bunch of arrows at once. And also, how rad is that shot of Scarlet Witch coming out of that building and
Yeah,
just
it's in the
wrecking
trailer.
robots?
Um,
Yeah, because it rules.
the fact that the whole third act of this movie revolves around saving people is also huge for me. That like we can
Yes.
in a large superhero movie, it's easy to lose track of the idea that these heroes are there to save people. There's this abstract of like save the world that happens in superhero films. And
Right.
usually all that boils down to is punching the bad guy really hard until he explodes. And then all the people are safe because the bad guy can't do the bad guy thing.
They're also doing that. This movie has it both ways, because also
Yeah,
the other
I
part
know.
is we must destroy every remnant of Ultron, but it balances it nicely.
But this movie
While we're
also
destroying every single
focuses
Ultron drone, we
on
have to save
the
all the civilians.
it focuses on the like the fire and rescue aspect of find the civilians, save the civilians, get them to the rescue ships, get them out of here. No one's leaving until everyone's safe.
It starts there too, because of course Ultron is born out of the Iron Legion in the beginning of the movie, which is sort of Tony Stark's like civilian rescue robot unit, which is a cool idea as well.
Yeah. But like
I mean,
that's why I
later-
admire this movie so much, is that like, yeah, you can snap your fingers and bring back half the world and turn all the bad guys to ash at the end of Endgame, and it's beautiful and I love it, and like I love those movies as well, and they're the culmination of 15 years of this stuff going on. But this movie is just so typifies the like superhero ethos that I grew up loving, and is part of the reason I still love and consume this sort of media, that this movie really hits on the head for me.
I wish he didn't try to jam that into Justice League with the weird Russian family, but
yeah. But
I couldn't not think about it this time. On this watch, I just kept going like, he thinks he's because this really does work, and I agree with you for that reason. But he thinks he's doing that in his Justice League rewrites, and it's just dumb.
Talk about a compromised movie, though.
It is I think it is the most I've ever seen a movie be stitched together. I don't think I've ever seen a major studio release be more like Snyder, Whedon, Whedon, Snyder, Whedon scene, Snyder scene, and then seeing the Snyder cut and being like, I was pretty right about which ones were which. coming to think of it. But yes, this movie really works. It's the last great thing that Joss Whedon does, which is a shame. I'm with people. He is probably quietly script doctoring without credit, and that's fine. But as long as he's alone in his house, I just say he's too good a writer. Somebody is like, I bet that's happening. But
look, there's some Operation Paperclip somewhere happening. Yeah.
And honestly, I'm okay with that, because regardless of what I think of him as a person, I do think he is an amazing writer, and that has never changed and will never change. I will always still love the stuff he made, and I think this movie is a phenomenal script. I really do. I think it's a really good superhero movie, I love this movie. It's not the best movie we've seen, though.
That being said, that brings us to our inevitable rankings of these things. Let's start with.
There's going to be huge. Start with Ultron as a villain.
Start with Ultron. Yeah.
Who do we have at number one? Loki.
It's always going to be there. Is Loki.
He's no better than Loki.
Number 2 right now we have Red Skull. I think he tops Red Skull personally.
I would put them pretty close. I would be okay with that.
3rd we have Alexander Pierce.
He's definitely better than that.
So I guess where does he sit a la Red Skull then?
I'm okay with him being second, because I think it's damn close. That's another coin flip one where I would put them about the same level. So if you feel,
I feel strongly that Ultron sits higher than Red Skull for me.
Then I'm willing to go with that. Like I said, I'm not going to live or die on that decision. I think they're pretty equal. They're both really good villains.
So
I don't think we're going to be. I don't know if we're going to be too far apart on where this should rank.
We'll see. I don't know. So here's where we stand.
Number one. It's not number one. Is all.
Not number one. Fine. I'm not going to die on the hill that Winter Soldier is a better movie than this. I agree.
Yeah.
I still hold a torch that I think Guardians is my number one at the moment. But
okay.
Right now, our ranking consists of Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, then Captain America 1,
Yeah.
followed by Avengers, Iron Man 3, Iron Man, Thor, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor: The Dark World.
I
I I would put this
personally,
above First Avenger.
yeah, that's where I knew you were going, and I will give you that. But that is, I don't I don't personally agree, but I'm not, once again, it's similar. I'm not going to like
Uh-huh.
live or die on that hill.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't make that choice, but if we're talking, if this is sort of the compromise split vote of the two of us,
Uh-huh.
that's fine.
This
That's
is
fine.
me last week with Guardians and Winter Soldier.
This is a little bit that where I just go like, no, I don't think I would. There is, I, I have such, that is such a me movie. The
Sure.
first Avenger. I just love its old timiness, and
Yeah.
it's a war movie. But
Yeah.
I'm not. Once again, I can live with this being there because I do really like this movie a lot.
Okay.
Like I
Thank you.
said, it would definitely be only one after that if it was up to me. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like it's going to be not a
No.
massive disagreement.
So we're going to put Age of Ultron at number 3 and make some people on the internet tear their hair out.
Oh, people are going to flip out about that. I do think we're going to get into an interesting conversation when we get to the other Avengers movies, though, because I don't agree that this is better than those. I think both Infinity War and Endgame I would rank higher than this, but we'll get there when we get there.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, fair. Okay. Yeah. We'll
yeah.
burn that bridge when we get to it.
But next week is a not contentious movie for us. But we should tell people, of course, if they want to hear more from us, they can do it on our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/punchupent. That's punchup ENT. There'll be a link to it in the description below. So check that out. Get cool exclusive bonus content. Here's some of our reactions in our archive episodes.
Yeah,
To these
we're
movies
now
when they come out.
firmly in the era which you can go back into our archives. Our old show, Panel on
Yeah,
Panels, which was more comic book focused, but we did
yeah,
break for our movie reviews as stuff would come out. And now we are in the era where we were doing those very consistently.
yeah. I have never gone back and listened to those. I think it would be very fascinating
I do
to hear what I
occasionally.
was saying
Yeah.
about this movie at the time. Specifically this movie, because I don't remember what I would be very curious to know what we said about this movie.
Well, you can,
Or what
if you're
none
a
of us said
patron
about.
or if you're John Campbell, who has access to our archives regardless, you can go do that.
Yeah. I have the hard drive with all of them on that. I won't say anything about it. Anyway, never mind. I was going to tease something, but
Make no
as you caught me,
promises.
no promises. I will. The only thing I'll say is there will be more guests on here at some point. And I'm working on those. That's all
Okay.
I'll say. I won't say names.
Yeah.
But of course, what else should people do, Gorgoni? Because they're watching us on YouTube, of course.
You're watching us on YouTube, so while you're here, you're already here. And thank you for being here. But while you're here, important fact, there's some buttons right down, I think, let's see, if I'm pointing the camera, it's like that way. There is a like button. It looks like a thumbs up. You should hit that. That's great. There's also a subscribe button. If you're not already subscribed, do that, because we got so much content rolling out over here at the Punch Up Entertainment Network. It would be a waste of good content if you weren't subscribed to it. Just eating it up.
Yeah. If you want to hear me talk about Star Trek in a place where it's actually supposed to be talking about Star Trek, you can watch Campbell and Jones Boldly Go.
Or if
which
you
is our
want
new Star
to
Trek show.
hear me loquaciously narrate a fantasy adventure, you can do so over on Material Components, which is also here. While you're on this video, though, let us know in the comments below your thoughts on Age of Ultron and why John and I are wrong. Be as angry and spiteful as you want. This is your one opportunity to tell us just how wrong we are. Otherwise, we don't want to hear it. But in this one episode, I'll make an exception because I know we're maybe some outliers on our opinions of this film. And I want to know why.
And I'm not completely delusional here. I know the faults of this movie, but I think the strengths are often understated of this movie.
I agree. So yeah, let us know in the comments below your opinions. Would really love to know.
100%. But I think that's going to do it for this week's Doomsday Machine. But next week, John Campbell and Mike Gorgoni will return in Ant-Man.
Ants, 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 ants.